Hopefully this is working. This is Elwood EQ finally talking again. Excuse me. I have ditched the Windows recording software and I'm using the Nvidia recording software. I'm avoiding OBS Studio or OBS, whichever you want to call it. And I think I did one test recording with this, and the mic on this headset through this adapter seemed to be working okay. Beyond my little breathing and other little issues that I tend to have that I will try to work on getting rid of. And I'm in EQ. Well, in the last video I put up, excuse me, was to cover the stuff I'm using in this latest X pack. What was it? Shadow of Luclin or something like that. SOL. SOL is right. Oops. Don't want that guy to get me. They've recently changed the tag on some of these mobs in Maiden's Eye here in this X pack. And a good amount of them will see through and viz and stuff like that. A lot of people are complaining about it. I think mostly they're boxers and people that don't that can't control every member of their party individually. He's nervous for a reason. Anyway, and the only name I've actually camped by myself has been this named like wolf or whatever, called Dark Meat. And oh, it looks like he might. Is that him? No, I think it's a regular one. Yeah, yeah. These can't see through in Viz. I got regular in Viz on, and they didn't change that. But yeah, this last patch that came up, kind of, it's got people kind of irritated. Anyway, so I hope they kind of learn to deal with the different mob tags and stuff. They changed stuff. As far as I think this is an old game, and they made they had a tag for items and weapons in particular that was really important for player characters that were either magic or non-magic. And back in the day, only certain mobs could be hit with non-magical weapons. Otherwise, they could only be hit with magical weapons. And how you knew if something was magical is if it had some sort of added effect. See, back in the day, for your first 10 or even 15 levels, odds are you're probably just using a fine steel weapon or something with no stats on whatsoever, just the damage and delay on it, and that's it. If you use like a melee weapon or bow and arrows, the arrows, and they were non-magical. So if you tried to, I think zombies back in the day, if you couldn't, excuse me, if you tried to hit a zombie, no matter how low level it was, with a regular like fine steel sword, you wouldn't be able to damage it. It wouldn't hit it. But any weapon that had anything like a +1 dexterity or something on it, or I don't know, maybe some sort of plus the damage to anything, some sort of magical effect on the item, as long as they had some kind of extra stats on it, then even like a proc on it or something, I think it would be considered magical, a magical blade or weapon or something, and then you'd be able to hit it. Will-o-wisps were also a mob that you couldn't hit as a melee character or like a ranger or something with bow and arrow, unless you had magical weapons. Casters of any kind could hit them with their spells, because spells are magic, so they could hit them. Anyway, so now they've undone that. They're trying to weed out some of the old, what they see as unnecessary things, in the code, which is fine and dandy. But, you know, as always, you take one step forward, two steps back with trying to deal with really old code without directly having communication with the dev that wrote the code. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what's happening. It's the devs worked on this game back in the day. I have no idea about the game sounds, how loud they might be. So I'll adjust that as my videos go on, but I'm back to putting some videos out. So the last on Silent Elwood, the video I put out, was had me showing some macros. I kind of I bumbled it a little bit. So I'm going to vocalize the logic and some of the stuff and everything. And what I do to get this done. The next mob I kill, I'll use my pointer and actually do with the pointer what I'm doing with the keyboard and with my fingers. Typically with these mobs. I like to keep the pointer over in this area and I just leave it there. Unless I need to sort of target something by clicking on it because of geometry or of the landscape or something, or there's a mob in the way, whatever, something like that. Sometimes I have to click on a mob to target it, but most of the time it's just over here. Because I have a black background here and I can see it more easily. If I have it up here, sometimes it takes me a couple seconds to track to see where the cursor is, or the pointer. So I have one rank 2 spell, one single rank 2 spell. Because I've killed this named solo, I would say about 4, maybe 5 times. I'd say 4 times. 4 times. And I've got one spell rune off of him at that time. I also got one thing of ore for T3 armor. For a T3 item. Which, of course, being a caster, a pet class, I had to get the T3 earring right here. This is the group T3 earring that gave me EM24. Show right here. There we go, 24, which used to be like the highest you could get back in Empires of Canark, UK. And now it's a group level effect. So I'm used to just having group level. T3, you know, the best group level enhanced minion is all I ever expect to have. And with a necro, it doesn't matter quite as much as say with a mage or some other class, because you can charm something if you really need to have a really beefy pet tank, and it'll work because of the silent casting that you cast as part of that I cast part of my DPS macro here. It does silent casting, then the twin cast, and then this one. This is basically all the damage buffs that I thought was reasonable. I'm sure it's not completely optimized as far as DPS, but it's never really let me down as far as take it down a T1 or T2 rare. So that's good enough for me. That's all I care about. I just want to be able to get all the rank 2 spell gems on my own, and get all the stuff I need to be able to upgrade my armor for the group gear armor and items and stuff. able to take down, most if not all the T1 and T2 level rares, because that's just really all I do. I just camp rares. That's all I do. Anyway, so that's good enough for me. And if there's a T2 rare that's too tough for my combat pet, that's what I do. I dire charm something nearby. It doesn't matter if it's live or undead. Technically, this is dire charm undead, but you can make them. I'm going to switch. Okay, so I'm going to start this over again. I'm going to kind of redo what I did in my silent one a little bit. And it's going to be longer because I'm Gabby and I'm going to be talking. So there we are. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my charm spell lineup up. I was pointing over here in the last video when I did this and kind of showing you the spell names up here of the spells that switched, and then pointing down here because this is what I do, right? So I load this up. If I need to grab a mob that say it's not undead, well, I do it even if it's undead, but still it's live or undead. Well, I want to charm something to be able to fight a rare mob that's nearby that is too tough for this combat pet. I'd suspend the minion. That's right here. Put him in or we used to back in the old days, so I'll put it in your pocket. And then I'd target the mob I want to charm. Let's go ahead and just do it here, because it doesn't matter if I have it up or not. The dire charm's got a 30-minute cooldown. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charm this live mob right here. Okay. I won't be able to charm it with just with this alone. I have to turn it undead, which is what this nuke does. It turns it undead. So I'm going to suspend this guy. My minion. Got him targeted. So what I'm going to do is try to go up here a little closer without engaging him. I'm going to hit this. Hit it again because it's what is the problem? Hit that. Debuff him. Nuke it. Dire charm. So he's busy hitting the baby skeletons. Now, as soon as this charms him, he's my buddy. Skeleton, stop. Now I can buff him up with this. My Fred's already buffing him and healing him and stuff. And then I would go over to a rare, and then I would do him. I'd kill it. What I'd be able to do is I also put the pet power things on him. I'm not gonna do it now. I'm just gonna, but he's good to go for, for 5.5 minutes. He is mine. There's no chance for it to break. He's got massive hit points, very low DPS, but with the buff here that I gave him, plus this pet power, it helps him out a bit, right? And plus, when I send him in, I'm also going to give him Insight Ally, right? Which is going to give him this. Drains life from the target, does extra damage, and it returns 40% of it as a heal to the pet. It's a big, nice heal-heavy life tap that really helps out. So that helps with the aggro. When I hit my DPS thing, the silent cast, what that's for, silence casting keeps me very low on the aggro meter. And the pet, I've yet to have an example of the pet being out aggroed by the healer merc. And I know the silent casting only applies to me, and then I don't. So, it's all good. So then you just do your stuff. You do your dots, and you just kill the rare mob. You have a super beefy pet, and it's for like 5.5 minutes. I think technically it's supposed to be 6 with the little, duration buffy thing that we have in our AAs. Anyway, and you just rock on. You go to town. It doesn't matter if you're around undead or live mobs. You can charm anything, and you can use them to kill rare. The biggest problem with this is sometimes, you know, you're not going to, this is not going to, it's going to get resisted. You're not going to be able to actually, you know, charm them. So then you have to, there's usually enough time, the baby skeletons that you send at them to kind of keep them occupied while you're nuking them and trying to charm them. They usually last long enough for you to be able to send another round of them again and then go ahead and try to nuke them again to turn them undead so you can charm them. That you can repeat the process. Now it depends on the environment. If you got mobs around, you know, you may only want to give it one shot. If it doesn't work, scrub it, you know, FD, you know, live to fight another day, and then try it again, you know, when the environment's a little bit better for you to be able to do it. So there's that, and there's also the ideas that now I can't invis. That'll break the charm, and he'll come right after me. The best way to break the charm is by using FD, feign death, or you know, death's effigy here. That'll break the charm and break the aggro instantly, and you're good to go. You know, so then you just wait for him to walk off or whatever. Sometimes if I'm, you know, things are tight, I'll tell him to guard or something, and then I'll get some distance, and then I'll FD to make sure that, you know, I'm out of aggro range, so he doesn't re-aggro on me if he's, you know, sees me and forgets that we were once friends, you know, kind of thing. But when you're doing this, since you can't invis, you have to make sure that you have access to the rare that you're trying to kill. So because of that, you have to make sure that whatever you charm, is it too far away, and you have a clear path to wherever that rare is. If there are mobs, like say this bat here, that's between you and the rare, and you don't want to have an ad. You want to be able to just have you fighting the rare, and that's it. If you have more than one mob helping the rare out, it's gonna be squishy unless you can like, you know, root rot. You can root the ad, you know, and get it out of melee range so you can finish down, you know, killing the rare. But that seems to work. You know, that works okay. And I've had in Western Waste, I was using this with great effect against I have many videos. No, actually I have one video, but I've killed them many, many times. I tend to just kill the same. I'm going to go ahead and break this. So there we go. He's going to stay here. I'll just wait till he walks off. And if I was to decide to try to kill him again, you got to make sure, you got to remember, this is on for like 2 hours. So if somebody tries, if you don't kill him, somebody tries to kill him again, he's going to have this buff on him. That's might be a little bit of a surprise to some people. That may not be cool. So I think it's kind of funny actually, but because I have a macro here for snare that debuffs eradicate magic, that eradicates up to, what is it? Do I have it up here? Sometimes it does very little of a cooldown, so I probably didn't bother to put it up here, but it takes off, it debuffs, it dispels magical effects on mobs. And it's usually good to take 1 or 2 off. I think the max is 4, but it can be resisted, so there's that. Yeah, I better bring my combat back. Elwood. There we go. Elwood's good. Okay. So that's how we use the charm lineup here. If there's something I want to try to kill that's too tough for Elwood, I do that. Which, like I said, which kind of makes getting a really uber EM enhanced minion item for a necro kind of optional. It's definitely nice having a higher one. No lie about it. You know, Elwood here, there's no problem tanking trash mobs in this zone or T2 zones. He tanks them fine. The rare mob, I haven't tried a T2 rare mob with him yet, so I don't know if he could do it or not. I'm guessing by some of the videos Zelen has put up and stuff that he probably could. Might take a little bit of effort on my part to keep him alive to help out the merc, but he probably could. I don't know. But I'm not going to sweat it too much. I'm just going to poke around in here for right now. This is my Dark Elf Illusion. This guy's actually a gnome. I have a buff that gives me a little bit of extra. This amounts to, I think, an extra 20 magic regen, mana regen, which, helps a little bit. I found my mage alt has the mount that gave this blessing here, this bonus. I just don't have the bunny on him. So in my last video, I was like, "Hey, where's my bunny? I don't have my bunny. Uh-oh. Did he get ate by a patch or some kind of weird thing happen?" No, I transferred him over probably to give the buff to my mage when I didn't really, I forgot I did it. I haven't been playing very much lately. So that's the explanation of this spell set here. Because again, in case someone's not the way it comes up too close. And so that's the charm one. The buff is just, all my buffs and stuff. Everybody knows the necro buffs. Combat mana is what I use for trash. Combat spell is just regular combat and combat mana. Combat mana is the same as combat spells with the exception of this. This right here, Mind Atrophy. It gives you back, steals 4,100 mana instantly, and then restores like about 1,400 mana a tick. And this is extended too. I've seen it extended up to like 52 seconds or so, something like that. So it's a good number of ticks. What is it? I think 52 would be like 6. That's 42. 8 ticks, 7 or 8 ticks of mana regen, of a little extra mana regen, which is nice. You can tell the difference. I can tell the difference because the Necros dots now cost so much more. They're so much more expensive that you gotta. It's nice. I don't know if you see this overlay. This is the first time I've used this Shadow Play Nvidia thing. So it might be in the way of these spells. There's a box, basically, where on the screen that I see. I don't know if it's going to be seen in the recording. So, anyway, so there's that. So yeah, so I'll have that, and then the combat one is everything the same with the exception of this, and this has the the blood nuke, the one that gives the synergy and stuff, right? They said they buffed this up. 25% chance. I heard it was 30%. I think Zelen, maybe it's the rank 2 is 30%. That might be it. This is rank 1. Like I said, everything's rank 1 except for Flesh Rot. I have the rank 2 on that. So, and yeah, and I was killing this rare with all rank. That's before I had that too. So, and it was also when my pet was. Currently my pet, oops, if I con it, is level 117. It was 116. I had the EM item just below this. When I killed the rare here like 2 or 3 times. I think I probably killed him about 3. I think I've only killed him once since I got the new earring here for the EM, and he did noticeably tank him a little bit better. This rare here will drop aggro and start attacking a random person in your party. Sometimes it's the merc, sometimes it's me, so I have to make sure I, FD real quick, which if you're in the middle, anyway, if we get lucky enough, I'm not going to have this go on for, maybe I'll do a separate video if I happen to see him, and then I'll just show you me killing the rare. You can see how it behaves. But my combat pet was 116. I killed him just fine. 117 was a little beefier. It was a little less stressful. But killing this dark meat rare wolf is a little stressful because you don't want to get hit, and you want to keep as many swarm pets on him because he'll go after a swarm pet, right? So the more swarm pets you have on him, the less likely he is to come after you during the fight. Even with that said, he's always gone after me at least once during the fight. Maybe I'm just unlucky. I don't know, but maybe I wasn't far enough back, maybe, or something. That could be it too. Maybe it's a little bit better if you're out of melee range. I don't know, but he was, yeah, he would occasionally come after me, and if I was in the middle of one of these macros, I have that lay down dots. I have the pause long enough that after a cast, if you're spamming your FD button, that you're just spamming it while this is going on, you'll hit it during one of these pauses, and it'll interrupt it, and you'll go ahead and FD. It's not, it's not instantaneous. So you're gonna have to just keep spamming your FDs until you can get in. But you don't have to wait. My point is, you don't have to wait to the end of this entire macro for you to be able to FD. You can FD in between these if you hit it at the right moment. So it's not hopeless. Because if you have to wait to the end of one of these macros, depending on how quickly your pet gets aggro back, which is not a huge issue, but if he gets a couple of hard hits on you and you're down to half hit points, it's harder for anything to get aggro back off of you. The fewer hit points you have, the more aggro the mob is going to have toward you if it's hitting you, because it knows you're almost dead and wants to keep hitting you even more. So I think that's what they're going after with how the aggro is managed, which makes sense. So let's go to, okay, so I'm going to go to here. Now before I do that, I'm going to it takes a long time for the mana thing to refresh. It's got what's the cooldown? It's like a minute or something. It's crazy long. Yeah, it's like a minute. You can only cast it once every minute. Anyway, so snare, got encroaching darkness. Like I said, eradicate magic on the pet. Attack Q swarm if I have any extra baby pets still alive, they go into. Inspire ally is this buff here. It gives the life draw, life tap, the extra bonus to healing. This thing crits on heals pretty heavy. It's nice, and I don't feel a need to give him any kind of bizarre life tap weapons because I always have this on him. I have it casting every time I send him in for a combat, and it always lasts. It never runs out, even on a rare through a combat. It's fine. Debuff Centithul, then the cremate bones, and then Centithul again. Why? Because Centithul, even though it doesn't say, maybe they changed it, but they gave it a buff that had it. Here we go. It's a passive effect. This ability improves the resist modifier of your corruption, fire, and magic spells by 90 points, and the resist modifier by 130 points. Right? So it does debuff magic by 90. I have this is maxed out, so this is the top tier AA for it. So, and because this might be a fire spell, the effect that turns the mob undead is actually a magic resist. So it's not a fire resist it's using to be able to know if the fire part is the nuke part. So this spell it uses two resists. You use fire first and then magic. So for when I do the debuff thing, I always make sure I debuff first, then this, to try to increase the likelihood of this having both effects, have it nuke it and turn it undead. And then I have this go again so that I can put the slow thing on it, so 47% slow, which gets mitigated, I'm sure, to what? I don't know, but I just know it helps. It helps a bit, the debuffs on the decks and all that stuff seems to help. But the big thing I think that really helps the most is the dual wield ability reduced by 16%. I think is really the biggest thing that helps, you know, the tanking of your pet. And these long dots, you know, it just goes right down, bop, 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 all 9. I use 9 dots. 1, 2, you know, these dots here. Then I go to here. I use these dots here. They all go down strictly by time. I used to have a slightly different order. It wasn't strictly by time because I wanted the debuff from this grip effect. This gives additional debuffs also when this dot is on. I wanted that on for tanking in the first round, so I had it in my first slot. So it was, but I was like, I'm just going to have them all just by time because it gave a funky refresh kind of rhythm when I had the times kind of screwed up a little bit. So I just go strictly by duration of the dots, so in descending order. These stay on the longest to the fastest, right? So right here. Then the short ones, even though this is kind of medium still, these two are the 30-second ones. These are both 30-second dots. So I hit those 3, so 9 dots get on, and then I hit this. This is a spam button that has no pauses in it because the first time I hit it, it's going to cast this, the Swarm Pets. The second time I hit it, it's going to, depending on what spell set I have in, it's going to do the Blood Nuke or it's going to do the Mind Atrophy, the mana buff. The mana buff, this right here, can be cast on any mob. Doesn't have to be a caster because this is a recourse effect. Because it's a recourse effect, as long as this debuff, I guess, or whatever, as long as this lands, it's got a really good resist bonus to it, so it always lands. I've never had it resisted. You will get the recourse effect. It doesn't matter if the mob's a melee mob or a caster. And then I have the pet Aegis, the pet rune. It's the AA pet rune. It's not as strong as the one that we have, but I didn't have enough spell slots. This is how I chose to configure my thing. And it's working okay. I used to have the cascading rune on here on my spell lineup. That's the biggest difference between this X pack and the wintry one, the last X pack. But the mobs here are weak enough that I don't have to really make sure that I have a rune thing on, not even for the rares at all. Then, just in case I need it, the Min Companion AAs listed last, that, you know, if I just, because when I'm fighting a rare, I'm hitting number 7 here. I hit all of these because it's a spam button as much as I can. Once I get all the dots on, I hit this, and I just keep hitting this. When I have to refresh the dots, I hit the dots, then I hit this for a while, hit this to refresh those, hit this as many times as I can before I feel like I need to refresh those. I just keep doing that over and over and over and over again until the rare is dead. And this is, of course, after, in the beginning of the fight, I hit the pet power and I hit the DPS thing, which I've already shown you. Death Bloom, self-explanatory. It's not a macro, it's just the ability, and it gives you a bunch of mana back. And sort of a dot style. I don't have this upgraded yet. I've been working on Focus AAs. I still have one more. This dot right here I need to get fully focused. And I already have my Synergy. Yep, updated all the way. I did that first, I think. Well, actually what I did first was the one that affects it gives you a bonus to the damage, base damage for all your dots. It's like, costs 210 or is crazy, super expensive one. I basically did the 3 most expensive ones. That, plus Synergy, I did those 3 AAs, got those maxed out first, or those 2 AAs maxed out first before I started working on focuses. That was painful. And this is the, This is the root that knocks them back to short, short refresh time, 30 seconds. I don't have a need to have any other root memmed. This right here is a lifesaver as long as a mob can be rooted. It's a nice way if you don't want an FD or Levant to get out of there, to be able to manage a fight in case you get more than one mob. It's another tool of the many that we have. FD is the DE that it's a minute 30 refresh for pretty short for something like that. I already explained in a video before how this works. Death piece is for if this happens to be down. This is another spam button, so if this is down, it is going to cast this. And this is just a little funny thing I have up. There we go. It says right here. Anybody with earshot might have a little laugh, Oh no, then the target, we're getting slave. Looks like you killed me. You can ignore me now. And they just, ignore you and walk off. This little joke about how they handle how they have this FD mechanic in this game is it's just a little silly. Oh, the dog. We got dogs. Anyway, and this invis, I've shown this before. I like to do forage whenever I invis, so there's that. Invis to undead is the same thing. It's just got the invis to undead one. And then I got Levant. And those are my macros. This right here, this is if I want to make my pet small. I've been running with them full size lately just because I'm in the mood to have them full size. This right here is the familiar. The actual familiar I don't like to have up, so I just have him auto leave, but I still keep the buff. I have no idea if this buff is worth having even on. It's supposed to reflect back with a 5% chance some detrimental effects back onto a mob. I have no idea if it works or not. It just feels like it makes the most sense for me, for what I have access to anyway. Who knows? It's not that big a deal. I really don't care about it all that much. And then my mount with the mount buff, all that stuff. So there we go. This is extra stuff that I just want to have accessible in case I need to use them. Whisper Wind is situational, as well as Harm Shield. Dead Man Floating. I don't like to. I have that on me all the time. I don't like either my pet. He's always floating anyway. Or Fred. I don't like to have him float. I like to know where he's at. I like to see him. And if he's floating above my head, or because the geometry way above my head, I don't feel like he's, who knows where they're at with the pathing issues this game has. It's screwy. So that's that. I hope my voice isn't too loud. If it is, I'm sorry, and when I review this video, I'm not going to redo it, but when I review the video for the next video, I'll make sure I turn the mic down a little bit, if I can, in the software, because evidently Windows does not know how to handle the software or the mic level for this mic for some reason, which is irritating, which is why I have a silent video. Alright, well, this is Elwood EQ. Rock on. And remember, if you can't air guitar while you're playing EverQuest, you're doing it wrong. You're working too hard, my friend. Have a good one. See you next time. Bye.